properties of exponential functions. First example, again, if you have graph paper, that'd be great to do it on there. If not, just do it by hand. We're graphing two separate exponential functions, one in blue, one in red, and comparing the two. They are both exponential growths, right? Because 2 and 2 over here is greater than 1. Alright, so in my table, I would give you -1, 0, 1, and 2 on both of them, and you should be able to come up with the y values. Alright, so here's the blue one showing an exponential growth. Here's the red one showing a reflection of an exponential growth. So all the negative does to it, if you have a negative a value, that reflects the graph along the x-axis. Both of these, I need you to go ahead and get in the habit of labeling the horizontal asymptote. Both of these have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. Question on those? I'll give you a second to write that down. All right, ready?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. The next one, I don't need a table of values. All I care about here is translations. The blue one, we're going to translate the blue one to get to the red one. The main point I care about for the blue equation, you should be able to tell me is 0, 8. The reason I want to use 0 in my exponent is because everything to the 0 power is what? 1. Okay, so whenever you can use, you want to try to get 0 in the exponent. So in this case, how do I get 0 in the exponent? Make x 0, right? So if x is 0, 1/2 to the 0 is 1 times 8. Your main point is 0, 8. And you still have a horizontal asymptote at y equals 0. You know it's a decay because 1/2 is less than 1. So that's the form it takes right there. That's the blue.
If it was growth, then we're doing that.
Yes, it would go from here to here. Okay? Now the red one, I'm going to use the blue one and just translate it to get the red one. What does x have to be to give me 0 in the exponent? -2. That's why I moved left 2. And plus 3, I'm going to go left 2 plus 3, and that's my translation point. Alright? And since I had a plus 3 here, I had to shift my horizontal asymptote up 3 units. So this is the only point I really care about, and the horizontal asymptote, and draw the curve. If you want to be more accurate with the curve, you can always do a table of values. You do not have to, though. Okay? Does that make sense?
What did you say for the curve? How did you do the curve?
I knew it was a decay because of this 1/2. So it's got to be falling from left to right. You can't cross this axis though on the blue one. You're crossing the axis. You can't cross the axis because that's a horizontal asymptote. In the red one, you move the horizontal asymptote up 3 units because of this plus 3.
Okay, it is a. Did you actually move it up 3 units? Oh, you mean from 8? Is that it?
No, 3 units from. I moved the horizontal asymptote. This one had a horizontal asymptote at 0. So this one has a horizontal asymptote at 3. So I just moved the horizontal asymptote up 3 units because of this plus 3.
But on the curve, you moved it up.
Yes, then I moved this point left 2 and up 3 also.
Oh,
Left 2 because of this, up 3 because of this.
okay.
Okay? And I'll come back to that for you in a minute.
Okay.
All right. Now, the book tells you in the next example, and this is where you're going to need your calculator. The book tells you to graph. E is a number. We've talked about E before. E is like pi. Pi is 3.14 approximately. E is 2.71, I believe. We'll figure that out in a second. The book tells you to graph e to the second to figure out its value. You don't have to do that. You can plug it straight into your calculator. So get out your calculator, and this is what you would do.
You go to y equals?
No, you don't have to go to y equals. The E button is right above the LN button. So hit second LN. You see my arrow up there? And you get that. LN is where my arrow is.
It's 2
Look at the
above the
screen.
arm button.
Okay? And it raises E to the exponent. So to the first power, which is what E is, 2.72. Okay? If I want it to the second power, second ln 2. So there is what E squared is. So you don't have to worry about graphing it and trying to figure it out from there. Just type it straight into the calculator. So there you go. E squared is 7.3891. All right, write down the continuous interest formula.
Are we really doing that?
Yeah, we've done this before. We've done compound interest, we've done continuous interest. 2 different formulas. And the reason we're doing continuous interest right now is because we just talked about E. E is in the formula. A equals PE raised to the RT power. A is your balance, P is your principal. That's the amount of money you start with. R is your interest rate. And T is your time in years. So if I tell you to figure out the balance after 6 months, what would T be?
6.
1/2. Very good. All right.
How did you figure that out?
T is time in years. 6 months is half a year.
Oh.
So that's why T is 1/2.
Oh.
Okay? All right. And the example we're going to look at here, we start with $1,050. Find the balance of $1,050 with an interest rate of 5.5% compounded continuously. It needs to say this. It has to tell you it's compounded continuously in order to use this formula. And you want to find the balance after 5 years. Just plug in what you know. We know our principal is $10.50. We know our interest rate. You got to change percent to a decimal. Don't put 5.5. You got to change it to .055. Right? You move the decimal back 2 places to the left. And T is time in years to the 5th power. You should be able to plug this straight into your calculator. Right, now my version of the calculator is a little bit different, so it was easier for me to plug it in. The older version, when you raise it to a power, you may have to open up 2 sets of parentheses to keep both of these in the exponent. Okay, so just be careful when you're plugging it in. You should be able to use common sense when you come up with your answer. If you get something like $1 million, that you have a principal of $1 million, you should know right then that you did something wrong. I think your answer is about 1,300. So I went to the calculator. It's what?
1,382.
1300. There it is, 1382. And that's how I plugged it in, because I have the newer version. So I didn't need any parentheses. 1382 $1,382.36 should be your answer.